I am finally back. Today we are going to learn how to edit dark and moody photos in Adobe Lightroom. These are the final results of the photos that we will be editing in today's video. Since this is my very first tutorial, I might make some mistakes, but that's part of the fun. This video is slightly different from my usual travel vlogs. If you are here to learn some new skills, then stick around. Otherwise, you can catch my upcoming travel vlog next week. In today's video, I will show you how to save and apply presets later on, so you can easily edit your photos and post them onto Instagram. So without further intro, let's dive into the tutorial. Okay, I have opened up my Lightroom and these are the two images that we will be working on today. The first photo is the beautiful scenery shot I captured in a beautiful village of Ayubia. On a quick note, I will be posting my full vlog from Ayubia next week, so make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. So the first step we are going to do is to crop the image into 4:5 aspect ratio, which is perfect for Instagram. And then we are going to center our subject. In this case is this rest house. Now the composition looks already great to me. Hit enter to crop the image. Next, head over to the color adjustment panel and start by bringing down the exposure to maybe minus 1.55, depending on how dark and moody you want your image. For a really dramatic dark and moody look, adjusting the exposure between -1 to -2 works best. So the next step is go to the HSL section and start desaturating all of the colors for now. This helps avoid over any saturation as we adjust the exposure. Don't worry, we'll bring back the colors later once the lighting is perfect. After that, we will go to the histogram and there you can see the button that says the show highlight clipping. We are going to turn on it. This is going to give us the warning while adjusting the highlights or the whites, so we don't end up blowing out any details. And now we are going to adjust our whites and we are going to do it very carefully so we don't blow out the details in the image. As you can see that we are starting to losing the details in the sky as we are pushing it too far. So you are not gonna do that. So we are going to bring back the slider and I think the 46 value is perfect. Okay, let's turn it off. So now the next we are going to add some clarity to enhance the details and without making it too harsh. And then we are going to increase the dehaze maybe 5 to 10 values or even 12 just to add more mood and depth. At this stage, we have created a solid dark and moody foundation. Now we will gradually bring back color into the image in a controlled way to enhance that cinematic feel and breathe back life into the photo. Now head over to the HSL section and start introducing some colors. There are some red colors at the rooftop of rest house, so we are going to increase the reds -18. You can literally practice with these sliders just to see what's going on in the image. As you can see some oranges in the ground, so I'm going to keep it to minus maybe 24. Since we are editing the dark and moody image, you really don't want too much yellows in the image, so I want to keep it to -80 would be fine. So for greens, yes, you can introduce some greens to maybe -40. And for aquas, there are some aquas in the mountains, so I'm going to keep aquas to -73. And for blues, yes, there are blues in the sky, so for blues I'm going to keep it to -58. And for purples, I just really don't like purples and magentas in image, so I would like it to keep it to very minimum, maybe around 90 for both. Okay, so for luminance, I'm going to increase some luminance, maybe a touch of red, and for oranges, I'm going to decrease -13. So for yellows, I'm going to reduce some values, and then for green, I'm going to reduce the values again, and for aquas, I'm going to keep it there, and for blues as well, a slight touch, and for purple And for magenta, a slight touch, not much. So okay, for hues, I'm going to make it some less yellowish, and then for greens. Now everything looks great here. It's time to color grade the image. Color grading is one of the most powerful tools in photo editing. Some of the blue and teal colors in the shadow really helps cool things down, while warm color in highlights bring balance and contrast, creating that cinematic moody look. Well, you are going to press Alt on your keyboard and you are going to adjust the slider, and the Lightroom is going to show you that which color is going to affect your image. I'm going to add some blues or the teal color in the shadows to make things cool down, and in the highlights I'm going to add some yellow, maybe, or maybe the orange color here. Yep, it looks great. Let's have a quick comparison before and after of the image at this stage. All right, now we will go back to the color adjustment section, and we are going to bring down some highlights. Okay, and we are going to increase some shadows, and then we are going to reduce the black points. Okay, all right. After that, what we are going to do is we are going to make our subject pop, which simply means that keep more focused on our subject. And there are a couple of ways to do that. You can either use the radial filters, and the second is to use the brush tools. For now, I'm going to use the brush tool. So now you can go and brush your main subject, but before that, just turn on the mask overlay. So I'm going to press spacebar and click to zoom a little, and then I'm going to brush over this rest house. Now you can see the overlay, so you exactly know what you are brushing. Once you are done brushing, you can go and select the new brush just to add some details in these trees, and I'm going to paint it over there, and just like that. Okay, it looks good. Now one more thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to brush the ground as well. We want some details over there as well. There. And you might be wondering why I'm not brushing this pitch, because I'm going to make a new point for this pitch. I'm going to make it more pop even. Okay, now once you are done with the brushing all of your points, go and uncheck the mask overlay, and then you can go to the exposure and slightly adjust the exposure. There you see our main subject is now popping up. It's more focused, and maybe we can increase a little bit. Yeah, it looks great. Now we are going to do same with the trees. Increase the exposure slightly, a slight to that. Okay, and then for ground as well, a slight, and then for pitch as well, like that. This looks good. Now we are going to add a subtle vignette around the corners of the photo to draw the viewer's eye towards the subject and enhance overall focus. We can add a vignette by selecting a graduated filter, and then we can add the linear vignette in the foreground by slightly reducing the exposure to maybe -2. Okay, that looks fine. And then what we are going to do is we are going to select the new, and then we are going to slightly reduce the exposure to maybe -1.3. And then we are going to add a vignette around the corners of the image. Like that. Adjust it a little bit. Adjust this one. And reduce a slight exposure to this side. Okay, now the subject is much more clearer and visually focused, drawing the viewer's eye where it needs to be. We have now completed editing our first picture, and it looks great. If we quickly compare it with the original, which had bright and overly saturated colors, we can see a dramatic transformation. We have created a dark and moody look that adds depth and emotion. Now it's time to dive into our second photo, captured from a different angle. This time, the light is little harsh on our main subject, but don't worry, I will guide you through how to manage it effectively. So here's a quick tip. Try editing similar types of photos repeatedly. This kind of focus practice not only sharpens your skills, but also helps you to understand to tackle the lighting challenges with confidence. Let's quickly edit our second photo. Just like we did in our previous image, the first step we are going to do is to crop the image into 4:5 aspect ratio, perfect for Instagram. And then we are going to center our image, or you can say the composition. Press enter on your keyboard to crop the image. Once your composition is perfect, you are going to reduce the exposure to -2. Okay, and then you are going to the HSL section. There you are going to desaturate all of the colors. I just explained in my previous video why I'm doing that. Okay, after desaturating all of the colors, you are going to the histogram section and there enable the show highlight clipping. Once it's enabled, there you are going to adjust your whites. There you can see the whites are clipping right now, so I'm going to reduce some values to +55. Once the whites are set, you are going to add some clarity and some dehaze and some of the saturation. Well, now you can see that we are losing details in the highlights, but I'm really not worried about the highlights right now because I'm focused on my main subject. At this stage, we have a pretty good black and white image. Now you can turn off the highlights clipping, and then we are going to bring back all of the colors. So as you can see, there are some reds in the roof, so we will bring it back, and then we are going to bring back some oranges to -16 value maybe, and then we are going to bring back some of the yellow colors. So then you are going to introduce some greens to maybe -38, and then aquas. There aren't too many aquas in the image, so I would like to keep it there. And for blues, there are obviously blue colors in the sky, and I would like to keep it there. And then the purple, there are purple, but I want to keep it to very minimum because I'm not a good fan of purple and magenta. And in the luminance section, I'm going to add some luminance. Okay, and then for oranges, I want there. For yellows, I want to reduce the value because again it's a dark and moody image. And for greens, I want it there. And for aquas, I want a little there. And for blues, I want to actually fade it a little there. This looks already great and hues. So I want to reduce slightly oranges there. And I think at this point it already looks great. Now let's head over to the color grading section. Press the Alt key and I'm going to add some of the warmer tones in the highlights. Maybe this, and add some saturation, a slight. And in the shadows, I'm going to add some teal color or the blue colors to give it a cooler look. You can add some saturation over here. All right, I think we are done with the saturation and color grading. Now it's time to add some vignette. Now we can select the graduated filter and we can add a linear vignette in the foreground. And then we are going to reduce the exposure to -2. Then you can click on the new button and then you are going to add a vignette around the corners of the image. But this time keep the value of exposure to 1.5. A subtle or a slight touch of vignette there. You can add there, and you can add at the left corner of the image and in the left bottom corner of the image. And then I would like to add a linear at the top of the image, linear vignette. Yes, this looks great. And what you can also do is you can also adjust the graduated filters if you like. As this part of the image is blowing out, I will try to reduce the shadows and the highlights to this part of the image. Alright, this already looks good. Now the final step is we are going to make our subject more pop. And I'm going to select the brush tool, and I'm simply going to brush this area first. Sorry, you need to check the mask overlay button here. I'm going to reduce the size of my brush, and I'm going to brush my subject, and then I'm going to click on new button, and I'm going to paint this section as well, this area as well. So now we have 2 points, and the first point is my main subject. I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to uncheck the mask overlay button or the checkbox, and then I'm going to increase my exposure to make it pop. That looks much better. And then I'm going to select this point, and then I'm going to increase the value of exposure for this point as well to maybe minus 0.6, a touch. Now you can see that the image or the subject is more pop at the center, and our subject looks great. Now press the Y key on keyboard and quickly compare the two images. This is the before and this is the after editing. And there it is, the final image transformed into a cinematic frame full of emotion and mood. From building a dark and moody base to careful color grading and adding a subtle vignette, every step played its part in bringing this frame to life. Remember, editing isn't just about making the photo look good, it's about telling the story, evoking a feeling, and letting the visuals speak for themselves. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. What would you like to see next? Until then, keep creating, keep exploring. I will see you in the next one. This is Adil Shah signing off.